Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Virgo pre-full moon webinar. I'm broadcasting here, for the time being from north of the Arctic Circle, where Tuya and I have been, with a lot of help, starting this Little Bear Meditation Center. Maybe sometime you'll have a chance to come up here with us, and we'll have some small groups for intensive meditation. The star Polaris is very, very high here. It almost seems like it's overhead. Of course, this is not yet the North Pole, even though it's 70 degrees north latitude. So, but still much higher in the sky than we are used to perceiving in our more temperate latitudes. I want to say that in your chat box are a few links that you can copy for yourself. And one of the links is the broadcast for tomorrow night. Well, it's at least tomorrow evening. I believe it's for the exact full moon moment, which is occurring at 7:05 and 2 seconds in GMT. So we're starting just about an hour and a half before that, so it would be about 5:32 GMT, and we certainly welcome you to join us if you don't have other full moon activities in which you are participating. And then the links are there also for our Ask program, our invocation program. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, and knock and it shall be open to you. So we have 5 programs a week on that. Tomorrow we continue our work with the dissipation of glamour. We're doing that every Friday. It's a Venus day involving the 5th ray and the Ajna center, which is so important in the projecting of the beam of dissipating intense light onto the astral plane. And then also our comprehensive link is there, the Ask comprehensive link, which is good for 4 other broadcasts. We're keeping the link the same. Soon I will be changing the webinar link for Glamour, but not yet. So if you have a chance to join us for these weekly activities, we're trying to, Tuya and I, to offer these meditations which DK said are so very important, the reappearance of the Christ, the triangles meditation, the attracting money for hierarchical purposes, and then we do work in the destiny of the nations, where we're invoking the soul of different nations, and also going through the book, the marvelous book, The Destiny of the Nations, trying to think about the soul nature from the ray and astrological point of view of many of the nations in the world. Well, tonight, right here, our work is with the Virgo energy. I am the mother and the child. I, God, I matter, am. You see how all 3 aspects of divinity are involved there, and really Virgo is a sign of great integration and fusion. On the lower levels, when Orthodox Mercury is ruling, it tends to analyze and take things apart, but the higher we go in the reception of the Virgo energy, the more it tends to fuse things together until the 3 become the one. The personality, the soul, and the monad all become the one, the mother, the child, and the father all become the one. You see here the rulers of Virgo, beginning with the Orthodox ruler Mercury, and then followed by the esoteric ruler of the moon, and finally the hierarchical ruler, which is Jupiter. And that, of course, is deeply connected with the monadic plane. Very interestingly enough, all of us as spirits, as monads, as emanations of the one universal logos, ultimately are coming forth into matter to uplift and redeem still lower forms of life. It's a very Virgo Pisces kind of axis, and that's what we do when we set off on our monadic pilgrimage into the 5 lower planes, atmic, buddhic, mental, emotional, and etheric, physical. So Virgo has a lot to do with that deep service that we undertake to forms of ourselves which are still more immersed in limited self-objectivity, or I could just call it matter, if you will. So constantly our work as a monad is service work. Here, the Joffre illustration, it really highlights the way in which Virgo is related to the Deva kingdom, and especially to the material element. The Devas are ruled particularly by the 3rd and 2nd ray, and man, interestingly enough, is ruled by the 2nd and 1st ray. The human being has a certain destructive power within it, connected to the 1st ray, and the Devas are the builders and we are the destroyers. But of course, we're really one thing ultimately. And upon the Buddhic plane of intuition, we really begin to realize that. And upon the monadic plane, the 2 kingdoms are fusing into one. So, you know, there's a great deal of fertility and the bringing of the grand design to birth in form. There is the cultivation of the heart center. Interestingly enough, Virgo is that sign in which at this time more of the 2nd ray is manifesting than in any other sign. So, you know, interestingly too, it was so connected with the earlier solar system, but then I do believe the rays that being, well, of course, a constellational lord would transmit all the rays, just the way a much lesser planetary logos does, all the rays. But I think the major rays in the earlier solar system were the 7th and the 3rd ray, and now we are receiving differently in our particular solar system from the Lord of the constellation Virgo. We are receiving subjectivity. I hope that I haven't. I have a feeling that I may have been talking without you hearing me. I hope that that's not the case. I just saw that my audio has been restored. Well,
briefly.
I don't know. Is it okay, Brett?
It's okay.
Okay. Didn't know when it vanished. So anyway, we're cultivating the heart aspect now when it comes to Virgo, and not the material aspect at all, and that's where these higher rulers come in. So there's great opportunity here for whoever is controlled by the Virgo sign, whether the sun sign or a stellium of planets or the rising sign, let us say, to cultivate the heart approach in matter. Or we might say the Christ approach in matter, which leads to what DK says is the true mantra for Virgo. It's kind of a St. Paul statement, Christ in you, the hope of glory. Well, we all have the Christ principle in us, and we're all, to quote an old spiritual, we're all bound for glory, you know, which is the maximum radiation of the atomic factors within any of our vehicles, a great shining forth which initiation brings. So as the Christ principle grows within us, the glorification of all aspects of our nature proceeds. Now, I'd like, Francis Donald has provided us with some very good illustrations. Here is a picture of the weaver. I'll have to deal with that first because somehow my computer will only show one PDF at a time. I don't know why, but anyway, here's the pregnant weaver representing, I think, the soul who is weaving the design, the warp and woof of life, and out is coming the causal body. I'll let Francis described this in his own words. The archetypal Virgin Mother Goddess sits at her loom in her cave-like workroom. A Virgo is associated with the cave of initiation, with the morning sunlight streaming in. And I think it's Virgo Libra that's sort of the Eastern, Eastern or Western most, however we look at it. We're looking at the influence of Virgo as the rising sun. She is just finishing her weaving, a design representing the causal body, the vehicle of the soul. You know, just take a look at the illustration and you'll see that kind of ninefold star that is emerging from the tapestry that she has been weaving. Embracing this whirling nine-petaled lotus, she has woven a nine-pointed star which carries the influence of the nine cosmic potencies. There's a way of counting towards Virgo, and when you arrive at that sign, the number 9 is apparent. It is the great feminine sign, or one way to remember it, it's the feminine sign. It's the sixth sign from one perspective, but it has 9 cosmic potencies associated with it. And these 9 are needed to prepare the personality for the yoke, for the burden of the soul. So, you know, Virgo is connected with Leo in terms of the Sphinx, yes. And sometimes we might say that Virgo is the soul aspect of that and Leo is the personality aspect. But from another perspective, when we consider the materiality of Virgo, the earth sign quality of it, it is connected with the intelligence of the personality. This weaver, says Francis, who is you and I, has been weaving this soul vehicle through lifetimes of conscious effort. I guess he's looking at us in terms of our position abstracted from the personality. Gestating the Christ life within through eons of incarnations. The Christ life is the soul life. It's the way the potential to become a solar angel is born within us. And thus, painstakingly, another one of those Virgo words, painstakingly opening each petal of the egoic lotus one after another. The egoic lotus, interestingly, of course, is 12-fold, not just 9-fold. But if we don't deal with the synthesis petals at first and with the jewel in the lotus, then the part in which we are working specifically is 9-fold. In this image, the divine spark glows with life in our pregnant weaver. Her work is near completion. She is drawn from the warp of light wisdom, which has come to her through the woof of her countless experiences and guided by her soul, has fashioned with each pass of the shuttle and through every effort made that consecrated womb wherein the Christ life may be, quote, shielded, nurtured, and finally revealed. And then, you know, he points out here, he talks about the moon. We can see the moon in her necklace. We can see Jupiter as a hairpin. We can see the caduceus leading from the solar plexus to the heart, and that would be Mercury. So all three of the rulers of the rulers are represented in this particular image. She says, as esoteric ruler of the moon, queen of form, shines in its glory. We've seen that on the necklace. Mercury crowns its caduceus, which rules the bridge or antikarana between mind and intuition. This is one of those signs in which the ruled by an exalted Mercury in Virgo, interestingly enough, is very important in building the antikarana. So here in this image, there is a passage between the solar plexus and the heart, which is the same as the passage from the soul to the personality. And, you know, even Alice Bailey was working on the transference of energy from the solar plexus to the heart. So I think that this is something that all of us really have to attend to. Okay, she's indicating the symbol of Virgo with her open left hand. Interestingly, you know, how Francis got all this into the image. And a beam to quicken the divine spark shoots between her fingers and the symbol of Virgo. Her closed right hand, the ring, a talisman of her intent, symbolizes the gestating divine spark. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Well, that's, there are some interesting statements here by the Tibetans, something we should bear in mind as we think to contemplate on these energies which are now available. Virgo symbolizes the whole goal of the evolutionary process, which is to shield, nurture, and finally reveal the hidden spiritual reality. Well, presumably people like ourselves who are treading the spiritual path are on the verge of that type of revelation. For millions of years, the Christ life, the soul life, the unity of life has been hidden in its expression because the personality has covered it, and now we are on the verge with the first initiation of humanity coming to bring to birth and expression at least some small factor of the Christ life, which will continue to grow as we move towards mastership. For the occultist enthusiast, here are a few more quotes. Well, I guess we are that. Virgo symbolizes depths, darkness, quiet, and warmth. It's not an ostentatious sign. The valley of deep experience where secrets are discovered and brought to light. Very subtle. It stands for the womb of time. What is that? In the process of time, nurtured by time, the Christ life comes to birth. The womb of time where God's plan, the mystery and secret of the ages, at least on our planet, is with struggle brought into manifestation at the appointed time, because we all know that the birth process is very rigorous, at least for humanity, and Madame Blavatsky kind of explains how that all took place. It wasn't necessarily intended. Here's another quotation, interesting. Eve, Isis, and Mary, our weaver, says Francis, embody the threefold form nature, the third aspect of divinity, that of the Holy Spirit, or the active intelligence and nurturing principle. These three virgins, the three mothers of the Christ principle, are the three aspects of the personality through which Christ must find expression. So I guess Eve stands especially for the mental nature, Isis for the emotional nature, and Mary actually bringing the Christ to birth for the etheric physical nature. On the 9 zodiacal constellations or signs, all 9 energies are required to prepare the personality and bring forth the hidden man of the heart. That's what we're trying to do. Bring forth the hidden man of the heart, the soul, the group conscious man characterized by love, wisdom, and the realization of unity. Okay, well, there are a number of things here that we could talk about, but I'd like to also switch to the other image, which I think is very beautiful. And let's see how I do that. I think maybe here. Yes, okay. Looks rather like Kuan Yin, doesn't it? So of this image, we have some of the following statements that Virgo's roots go way back, a long time before the Greeks knew her as the Virgin Goddess Artemis, or long before even the Egyptians worshipped her as Hathor, or the habitation of the holy light. See, the habitation of the light within and the revelation of the light within. Virgo comes to us, according to the Tibetan quote, from an ancient Atlantean root name. He doesn't tell us what it is, which was applied to the mother principle in those far-off times. So we're talking about millions of years ago. But, it's even older than that. Francis says here, even if we could stand in the long submerged temple of Lilith, at the zenith of the Atlantean civilization, our penetration into Virgo's hoary past would have barely begun. Going deeper into her origins would take us back into the night of time, back to Lemuria, through the time of the egg-born. These are unindividualized human beings. Individualization took place in Middle Lemuria, and there were earlier forms of the human type, and then across worlds to the moon chain, and on back through schemes, through chains and world cycles, back even through the pralaya that separates our solar system from the last. And finally, this is the ancient quality of Virgo that we're talking about. It's a very ancient sign. Maybe Cancer is a still more ancient sign, but it had a lot to do with the second half of the first solar system, or the previous solar system, let us say. Finally, in the darkest depths of the past, before the sons of God were known, in a time when the Mother, Matter, and the Holy Spirit reign supreme, we may find the source of Virgo, ruling the previous sacred, well, it's just a major solar system in which matter and intelligence were considered supreme. And as I suggested, I think the third and the seventh ray were the rays that we were receiving from Virgo at that time. In this image, Virgo sits within the lunar arc, her ancient home and symbol. Let's take a look at that. Okay, Virgo sits within the lunar arc, her ancient symbol, revealing to us the light of the world, which must shine through matter, and Vulcan helps that happen. Vulcan, one of the esoteric rulers of Virgo. From the source of non-being, represented here by the vase, maybe we'll call it the Sat urn, the urn of Sat, the urn of being, she has taken the seed of light into herself, and this is the meaning of the moon veiling Vulcan, and for countless eons has nourished it in the womb of substance. On our world, and era, she is Eve, Isis, and Mary, the triple integrated form nature, the third aspect of divinity, whose sole purpose is to shield, nurture, and finally reveal the hidden spiritual reality. So these are, there are some beautiful ideas here, and I trust that you can get a hold of these words by Francis, which gives us the necessary description. Of course, obviously, we want to read deeply in the Tibetan's book, Esoteric Astrology, and the compilations on Virgo, I think, will be found on Makara and also on our Ageless Wisdom compilations web page. It's a Yahoo group, and you can find it there. So the light of the heart is shining, and the idea of light in form is presenting itself. And there is, even the moon face of Virgo here suggests the importance of the moon. Of course, really, when you think about the moon veiling Virgo, as the Tibetan explains, it's not really the moon at all. It is two of the planets which are usually veiled. It is both Vulcan and Neptune, presenting both the physical and the emotional aspects which have to shine through Virgo when it is being properly expressed. Okay, it's very beautiful, and we, want to come in touch with this powerful energy which makes possible that we can express a higher aspect of divinity through the customary veiling forms. We no longer wish to be veiled. We wish to be, finally, the unveiled monad. All right, friends, I think, maybe that's enough background. Some of you are quite familiar with these things. There's so many wonderful statements here. Here, I'm just going to read the last one. Ponder upon the beauty of this synthesis and teaching, and know that you yourself, as a monad, really, have said the first word as the soul, descending into the womb of time and space in a far and distant past. Well, it could be on the moon chain, could be in the previous solar system, could be in this particular chain, but whatever it is, it's millions of years ago, at least, or even billions of years ago. The time has now come when you can. We can take this personally, if you so choose. Proclaim your identity with both divine aspects, matter and spirit, the Mother and the Christ, all three together. I am the Mother and the Child, I God, I Matter am, Christ in you, the hope of glory. there's some beautiful things here, and obviously, I think what we should do sometime is just have some compilations on the planets, compilations on the signs, and go through the whole list of them and see if we can get a rounded out point of view of all of these astrological factors. Okay, friends, now we go ahead with our meditation. And we're about less than 24 hours, really, from the actual day of, the day of safeguarding begins 12 hours, I would say, before the actual full moon. So if it's 7:05 and 2 seconds p.m., then GMT on the tomorrow a.m., the day of safeguarding begins. And we're in a day of dedication, where we dedicate the mind to an understanding and reception of these energies. And then we will work with distribution, and you can use this meditation, if you like, in the form that will be prepared for you on Makara, if you wish to use it during the days of distribution. Okay, so we go forward now. We are in a number of different countries and continents, but we are somehow together, and that sense of togetherness is really important to grasp, to feel. So we begin by withdrawing our consciousness from the personality and its vehicles, a kind of abstraction, kind of a pratyahara, and we pull backward as the soul in incarnation and enter ever more deeply into the presence of the soul on its own plane. These are different points of tension, and we are an aspect of consciousness immersed in a lower field of vibration, but it need not hold us prisoner. We pull back from identification with what the senses reveal, the outer senses, and we pull back from our desire nature, and we pull back from the usual concrete contents of the mind, and we find ourselves entering the field of light and love and spiritual power. We use our creative imagination to imagine this. It's as if we are within this field of spiritual light, spiritual love, and spiritual power. Whatever the senses might reveal, a deeper reality is this inner world. And we find ourselves as the observer, a unit of consciousness, a unit really of being consciousness. You start to get that deep sense of the group soul. Without barriers between us in our soul nature. It's as if we're all in this same field of consciousness together. And the space which apparently separates us does not count. and we're all in the same moment together. So we unite in soul with the spiritually minded people of the world, the new group of world servers, those points of brighter light amidst of dimmer lights. It's as if we are there with these servers as they serve, and we ourselves serving and they with us. And with all the men and women of goodwill, maybe they have not quite reached that point of ongoing, effective, continuous service, but they are part of the solution. A sense of uniting with the men and women of goodwill in consciousness. As if we are all together, and as if we are really one organ of expression on behalf of the love and light of hierarchy. So there is an effective instrument in the midst of humanity, and using the triangles network naturally makes it even more effective. So we visualize the group soul and the soul of the servers and men and women of goodwill merging into the one soul of humanity. There is but one soul. One consciousness with many different levels of impression, but still one receiving, feeling, sentient consciousness, only one. You might try the type of yoga which, through your imagination, allows you to see through the eyes of others, at least to imagine you do so. It's only one being seeing through the 10,000 eyes of Argus. And we realize then there is no my soul or thy soul. There is no really my soul or thy soul. There's only one soul. And then the ancient second ray mantra, naught is but me. If we can wear away the barriers which personality seems to place within our consciousness, wear away those barriers, we will have those flashes of realization. Naught is but me. We are gathering, as it were, on the higher parts of the plane of mind. We will work there. There's a place on the fourth subplane where the mental unit is found and the whole sense of personality is found, and where the possibility of linking the soul and personality is found. We're absorbing the will of the soul together into that group unit, that point of tension, produced by focused, immovable will on the mental plane. It's as if we absorb into ourselves the will to initiate of the first ray, and the will to unify of the second ray. We absorb the will to evolve of the third ray, and the will to harmonize of the fourth ray, and the will to act of the fifth ray. And the will to cause of the sixth ray, and the will to express of the seventh ray. This is part of the soul infusion process preparatory to our extension via the Antakarana into the impersonal spheres of the spiritual triad. The dual-colored rainbow bridge from each one of us, arising, as it were, from the mental unit of each one of us, and of course, in a larger, more collective sense, arising from the group mental unit. But for yourself, there are two colors. One, the color of your soul ray, the other, the color of your personality ray, however you want to visualize that, or use the color indigo if you're not quite certain. And that dual-colored bridge with the colors there before you as you see, that dual-colored bridge is rising, at least imaginatively, bypassing what we normally call the soul. It's this touching into the higher mind, touching into the intuition, the Buddhic quality, touching into the spiritual will. The bridge is rising. And finally, as if anchoring in that part of ourselves which is closest to pure being, the spirit, the monad, try to get the feel of your own bridge first. And of course that bridge is really merging into the group bridge, the group Antakarana. All the seven colors are there. You can imagine the group bridge rising cone-like towards the monad. Or perhaps at the center of a sphere, however you want to do it. And that is a great instrument of invocation and also descent. So what we're going to do is across this bridge that unites us all and brings us into the higher worlds, or at least the possibility that the higher worlds and their energies may descend into us. We're going to sound an Om, and inwardly we will think the great second ray word of power as we imagine a beam of white light flashing across the group bridge toward the monad. We're going to think inwardly, I see the greatest light. That greatest light, of course, for us at the moment is in Shambhala, the place of unfettered enlightenment. And we'll sound the outer Om and think, I see the greatest light, and see if we can get the feel of the rising and descending energies. Inwardly, I see the greatest light, outwardly the Om. And for us as a group, this establishes our connection, at least imaginatively, with the source of pure being and its personality, the spiritual triad, the impersonal world of spiritual will, spiritual intuition, spiritual mind, and hopefully we as a group can receive some impression along these lines. Now, we're touching into the world where the masters habitually are focused. And so we're going to express our solidarity with them with heartfelt gratitude. We offer our salutations. It's a kind of proportional comradeship with the executors of the divine plan, expressing our cooperation with them. Salutations to the Christ, the head of the hierarchy, the master of all masters, the teacher alike of angels and of men. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we most closely work, Masters M, KH, and DK. And then individually, salutations to the Master Morya, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Salutations to the Master Kutumi, whose ashram is most focally responsible for preparing the way for the reappearance of the Christ. Salutations to the Master Jwal Kul, whose ashram is training disciples for the first 3 initiations. Salutations to your own master as you know him to be or conceive him to be. Salutations to the entire spiritual hierarchy of our planet. Then imaginatively we raise our group thought to Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. And with deep reverence and in all humility, we attempt, identified as a group soul, to attune to the presence of Sanat Kumara, at least his influence, his radiation, the one standing at the center of Shambhala. Then a long internal silent Om, as we imagine the group of meditators imbued with his energy and really all servers and men and women of goodwill. A long internal silent Om, imagining this. This will bring into our lives the spiritual will, the will and purpose behind the divine plan, as much as we can somehow grasp it in our own little way. But we do know that the great invocation encapsulates the divine plan, and if we can bring spiritual light, spiritual love, and spiritual power to the world in some little way, we will be cooperating with the divine plan and the will and purpose behind it. So now we are ready then to enter the indigo sphere and begin working with the particular energies that are available now. We want to begin to feel those energies if we can. So we, as if, come together at a point. It's as if we're all gathered at a point of tension. Extension means nothing now. We are all intense at a point of tension and floating, as it were, above the golden pathway. Together, moving along the golden pathway towards the indigo sphere, where we will imaginatively find the consciousness of Master DK, who will support us as we attempt to come en rapport with the available energies. And so the golden stream shortens. We ride with it, as it were, as it is absorbed into the indigo sphere. And just for a moment, as if we are becoming outposts of the consciousness of Master DK. And our appreciation of the nature of these energies will be augmented because he is such an expert in these types of energies. We're going to be approaching together the spiritual qualities coming from the rulers of Virgo. Exoterically, we will be attuning with Mercury, conveying an acute, discriminative intelligence in the field of matter form. And remember that matter form can be much more subtle than we tend to think. And we'll be coming en rapport with the energies veiled by the moon, particularly Vulcan and Neptune. Vulcan, the endurance required to bring the Christ to birth in our consciousness, and that Christ consciousness, Neptune itself. And we will be coming en rapport with Jupiter, and its energies. It's the hierarchical ruler. It is suggesting the consummated expansion of the Christ principle, as that principle expresses on the monadic plane, ruled by both Virgo and Jupiter. There's good reason to think that a heart aspect of our planetary and solar logos can be found there, expressing in the cosmic ethers of the cosmic physical plane. We treat these energies as if they are real, as if they are present, as if they are more accessible now, because we are moving towards the moment of the full moon. So, this is an exercise in rapport. Rapport with these energies, as much of them as we can receive, enhancing our abilities, helping to build our causal body. That's the New World religion. Every month, astrologically and rheologically, we're building our causal body. So first then, Mercury. We can visualize it, in the color yellow. It's the sun of mind in relation to Virgo. And when we can take this ray into our nature, we will have an acute ability to focus the mind analytically, lucidly, reasonably, so that the birthing of the Christ principle in the heart may be prepared with full intelligence. And let's remember, too, that Mercury is exalted in the sign Virgo, not just the exoteric ruler, but exalted, and so conveying that power of intuition, along with reason, pure reason and reason together. Mercury. The energy is here, and together as a group, we access this energy, breathe it in, enhancing our abilities, acute intelligence. Monadically, there's so much of the fifth and third ray in Mercury. It really is the planet above all of intelligence. And that kind of intelligence, which is pure reason, revealing the relationship between all things. These energies are not abstractions, they're here right now. I want to breathe in that yellow color. So associated with the mental illumination which Mercury can bring. We breathe it into our groups. We absorb it in our meditating group. And we, as if, transmit it to the groups with which we are participating. We all need these Mercurian qualities. We are much imbued by it, and we transmit it into our groups on the sound of the Om, seeing good things happening according to the Mercurian nature, really bringing mental illumination, which we all so much need, because in a way we're all so thick, you know. As DK tells us, the learned but dense aspirant, we want to be less dense as the light of illumination enters our consciousness. So sound that Om, sending it into our group and groups for true mental illumination and the ability to handle many different aspects of the divine creation, many different planes and subplanes, with intelligence. So it's as if during these days that Mercurian ray is really ours, and we can access it at will, consciously, in the moment, and bring it to bear. Bring it to bear on whatever we may be doing, improving the quality of that. Okay, so we're aligned there. Now we think about the moon, but it's not really the moon we know. The moon is occultly, we're told, a dead planet, and only the outer material aspects really exist, all the true psyche. The true spirit has been withdrawn and transferred to the earth chain, but our vehicles, our lunar vehicles, are veiling something. They're veiling Vulcan, a sacred planet. They're veiling Neptune, a sacred planet. So these two planets help bring the kind of purity we need in our personality to better receive the higher energies. That's why this fire of purity is needed to better our reception of the higher energies with which the Antakarana in 3 phases connects us. So, it's as if we can come in touch with this hidden planet Vulcan. It's very near the Sun, we know that. It is a dense planet, DK tells us. We're going to absorb the will to endure that first ray Vulcan gives us. That will to endure. The will to grip the personality elementals and control them and bend them to the will of the soul. We try not to let our elementals get away with anything. We hold them in the grip of Vulcanian will, which brings the light value within each elemental forward till they can shine in glory. And in this intensifying light, Neptune, the Christ child, Neptune Vishnu, is born in the cave of the heart and nurtured and brought to full maturity eventually. And we persist in a Vulcanian manner until this is accomplished, Vulcan and Neptune together. The physical, etheric, Vulcan, the astral, reflecting the soul, and even the monad, Neptune. We ponder on these 2 planets working in our nature. Because we have the strength of endurance to bend the personality to the will of the soul, the Christ influence will shine forth and grow in intensity. And the personality will be redeemed. So, as we open our consciousness to the Vulcan, Neptune influence, we bring that into our group and groups. The strength of will of Vulcan and the sensitivity of Neptune. And we see these entering our group and groups, really affecting changes in the personality nature, spiritualizing the personality of our group and groups. We see this happening, improving our interaction, making us more spiritually responsive and effective. And we will sound the Om as we see this happening and feel ourselves strengthened by Vulcan, sensitized by Neptune. We feel this happening in our own nature and in our group nature. And really do call upon these energies, do call upon them. They are here. align with the group, with the soul, with the group soul, and do call upon them and see if you can, at this time, somehow consciously bring them into your life. And now finally, the hierarchical ruler, great Jupiter, the monadically expansive power of Jupiter, always pushing the ring past knot further out, including more. The largest planet in our solar system, we visualize the Christ principle, which Jupiter can represent, the Christ principle achieving full and consummated expression through matter. This Christ principle rising to the Buddhic plane, where it is at home, and up to the monadic plane, or into the monadic plane, where the spirit aspects of all human beings are found. Great Jupiter, giving us contact with our spirit. We try to sense this initiatic meaning of spiritual victory, the spiritual victory of divine love in the field of matter form. That's what the Christ represents. This Christ energy, this heart of the sun energy, will embrace the 6 worlds of monadic expression. Will embrace all beings, because even the humblest being is one with all beings in spirit. Try to get the sense of that. Tremendous monadic spirit expansiveness and awareness imbued with this heart of the sun energy. Including all, great inclusion. Father, mother, son, all 3 aspects included. These are the transcendental qualities of Jupiter. Embracing all, including all, recognizing all as one. Every apparently separate identity melts into this oneness, and yet its nature remains articulated. And we certainly all need this. There's great glory on the monadic plane, even more than on the soul plane. And the heart of the sun is really coming to full expression up there on the 2nd plane, subplane, the monadic plane. As we embrace all 3 aspects and every being that comes within our purview. So let us transmit to our group and groups this great expansive sense of monadic inclusion related to Virgo, and watch it do its benevolent work. a great fusion, a great unification on the second ray. But Jupiter is so close to our solar logos. Each solar system has one planet which is particularly close to the solar logos of that solar system. In our case, I believe it's Jupiter. Visualize the sun, the outer expression of the great logos. The second ray logos, its soul nature is on the second ray, inspiring all the planetary logoi and every human monad and soul. We're in the great love of the consuming fire of love of our solar logos. Whatever the ray may be, it is love wisdom that is pouring through. And maybe finally the ray of our monadically the ray of our solar logos finally may be the second as well. We're in the great stream of love throughout our solar system. With Virgo, we are reminded being the strongest source of love wisdom right now in our present stage of development on this planet. So as monads, we have our home within the sun. Realize what that may mean. Not just the outer sun, not just the subjective heart of the sun, but finally, monadically, within the central spiritual sun, our higher nature. We are solar beings. Maybe when we reach the seventh initiation as the Christ is now experiencing it, we will know this, know our origin within love wisdom, at least as far as our solar system is concerned. So let that solar indigo love wisdom energy flow through you and through all. And bring many things together through the power of fusion. Whatever may be the conflicts, the frictions, the discrepancies, the differences, love wisdom prevails. In our solar system. And this type of imaginative questing will lead us out of the solar system altogether in our imagination toward the light coming from Virgo. Really a very large constellation, a great constellational logos working through it, a certain type of light rapport with this light, the blended dual light. Two lights are seen, says the Tibetan, bright and strong, the light of form, one faint and dim, the light of God. This light is distinguished by a waxing of one and the waning of the other, and it differs from the light in Gemini. A puzzle to be pondered. Form is so powerful now, but soul and unity are leading to the light of God, the light of the Father. Virgo will lead us to the Father on the monadic plane, where the great light of identification can be found. Not just unity, but identicality in the Father. So may that Father light grow stronger and stronger as the light of form relatively wanes, and the light of the soul will help in this waning. Three lights together. It's Virgo we're coming en rapport with now, coming from that constellation, bringing the second ray, the sixth ray especially, and then all the rays of the different planets that are connected with it. Fourth ray, first ray, sixth ray, second ray, so forth. But basically love, wisdom, and devotion at this time. And now comes our silent period, as we perhaps visualize this constellation. Oh, for us, the Great Mother. And we ponder deeply, first on the mantram DK has given us. I am the mother and the child. I matter, am. We'll begin pondering this and carry our pondering through for another day and beyond, working this mantram into our daily life. I am the mother and the child. I, God, I, matter, am. And we really are all three. We have to know that. Not just one or the other. We are the Divine Mother, and we are that to which the Divine Mother gives birth, and behind it all, we are the force that wills all this to happen, the Father aspect. I am the mother and the child. I, God, I, matter, am, fusing the three into one. These are large identifications. It's not just personal. Every time something is coming to birth, you are the mother, wherever. Whatever does come to birth, you are that too. And behind it all, you are God, the One, the will, which drives all this. I am the mother and the child. I, God, I, matter, am. In the ancient Atlantean chant, it's said this way: I am the One, I, God. I am the form in which all forms are merged. I am the soul in which all souls are fused. I am the life, and in that life all little lives remain. I am the mother and the child. I, God, I matter, am. And you could well ponder for an hour on that during these days. But before we leave the mantrams of Virgo, we must consider what the Tibetan says, the keynote, which embodies the truth as to the mission of Virgo most accurately. So let us now ponder Christ in you, the hope of glory. Christ in you, the hope of glory. The master of the wisdom is fully grown in the Christ nature. But of course, there are aspects of growth even beyond that. Something is coming to birth in all of us. The love-wisdom realization. And it will lead to the glorification of all aspects of our nature. Christ in you, the hope of glory. So may this Christ nature truly grow and blossom in each one of us and in what we are as a group and in humanity and throughout the world. From the one about whom naught may be said, is so associated with the Pleiades, the center of the wheel, and through that aspect in the 12-petaled lotus of the head, in that great being, each constellation of the zodiac forms one of the petals from that petal of Virgo, from which the second and sixth rays stream, and on out towards our particular cosmic logos, the one in whom our solar logos is a heart center. It's kind of it seems a solar plexus within this greater being, and into our solar logos. The great God of love, wisdom of our solar system, and on out into Vulcan and Mercury and Jupiter and Neptune, those planets particularly connected with Virgo, and into our little planet where these energies are assembled in Shambhala and affects every one of us as a monad. As a soul. Pouring through Sanat Kumara, pouring through the Christ, affecting every one of us also, even as a personality, spiritualizing, purifying, rendering responsive our personality nature. The great energy flows. It's very important that we get the sense that these energies are real, and they are here. So that's a tremendous alignment, all the way from the hub of the wheel, maybe 410 some light years away, where the Pleiadian cluster may be representing the thousand-petaled lotus of this great deity. We call the one about whom naught may be said a super cosmic logos, all the way down into our individual life. Our contacts, at least imagined, are very extensive, and these energies are flowing at this time. Becoming more and more intensified. Think about the world. The many problems, the lack of unity, the lack of alignment with the divine plan, all the mistaken notions that motivate people for wrong goals and purposes. Maybe select something, a problem that needs clarification or straightening out, and let this energy of Virgo, of integration, of unity, of the growing Christ, flow in to that situation. Try to visualize that. And how this energy of love and unity and integration, bringing all three aspects of divinity together in every human being and group, how this can help. How the purification of the personality which Virgo can sponsor can help and raise the energy from the lower chakras to the higher, thus changing people's motivations and lifting the veil of blindness which is caused by wrong motivations and impulsion from the lower chakras. So during these hours that are coming forward, stay in the stream and visualize solutions occurring, because you can rightly apply through the imagination these energies. We will close our meditation with the sounding of the great invocation, visualizing the light, the love, the power flowing in to our lives, to our group lives, to our national lives, to the lives of humanity, working subjectively to change, to purify, to unify all that is at present so discordant and frictional. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. So, thank you, friends, and stay in alignment. The actual full moon is less than 24 hours away. Whatever you have to do, and we all have many things to do, try to stay in alignment and transmit these energies that we have been touching. Within the chat box is our broadcast for the full moon beginning at 5:32 p.m. GMT, and it will be led by Tuya. We'll broadcast that out, and then tomorrow morning at an hour which is pretty early, considering the late hour here, we will have our Dissipation of Glamour webinar. We will continue to work with the glamours of hatred and separation, seeking to disperse them so that unity and understanding can prevail. So, I want to thank you all for attending this night, this morning, this day, whatever it is for you. And let's all be together at this time of the Virgo full moon. We'll be working together subjectively wherever we are as a group, and we'll do our best to be a channel, a conduit, a method by which the higher energies can reach humanity and uplift humanity. All the best to you, and we'll see you before long. Bye-bye for now.